Patch 25.23 is long upon us, and it's a big one. Let's see how it's changed the meta. Starting with the top lane, Zehen has of course hit the rift, and already is winning a lot of games. Between his great power in extended fights, and how quickly he procs his passive in team fights, he is easily an S tier pick despite some nerfs. Otherwise, Mundo has had a bug fix, but overall it's made his damage a lot more consistently strong, and will be enough to move him up to an A tier champion. And otherwise, we have a small nerf to top lane Rek'Sai, with her sustain getting a bit worse. Despite seeing her return at Worlds, she was a B tier pick and will likely stay there. For top 3, I am going to go as far as including Zehen in the top 3. He's come out of the gate as a strong champion and would likely only get scarier as people learn to play him. Entering the jungle, we've had a ton of buffs for non-standard junglers, with Aatrox, Ambessa, Cho'Gath, Fizz, Jace, Malphite, Ornn, Riven, and Sion all getting more damage against jungle monsters. Out of all of these, Aatrox and Malphite are both showing as pretty strong picks, both going into the A tier. Champions like Ambessa, Cho'Gath, Jace, and Sion are all on the weak side, but playable. And the buffs have not been enough for Fizz, Ornn, or Riven to really take off, so none of them are going on the list. We also have another patch with Skarner changes. He's getting another chunk of buffs, but he's absolutely still staying upside down until he's playable again. We of course also have Zehen, who is a solid enough jungler, and I'm going to tentatively put him in B tier for the time being. Top 3 wise, I am going to leave it as it is, with Jax, Warwick, and Diana. However, champions close behind them are champions like Briar, Amumu, and Ivern. Looking at mid, we have a smaller patch with a few minor changes. Firstly, Ahri gets a small buff, and where before she was borderline S tier, she's now a solid champion within it. Hwei, however, has been decently nerfed, losing a good chunk of damage, falling down to A tier and potentially even worse. Otherwise, Vlad gets a small nerf, but nothing that consequential. Mel also gets a small nerf, but she'll be staying in the B tier, with the only other change going to Swain, who gets a pretty nice buff, with the damage from his E being increased while the mana cost goes down. Swain is already a strong champion, and against melee threats, he will definitely be feeling like a top 3 champion. But as far as top 3 champions actually go, Naafiri is an absolute terror, cutting through everything, while Morgana and Malzahar are consistently going to be strong. Entering the bot lane, we actually have some big changes finally shaking up the meta. Starting with a very solid damage buff for Jhin, which has made him much better, but I don't think quite an S tier spot yet. But he is a very solid A tier, and there's definitely an argument to push him higher. Miss Fortune gets even more damage in her ultimate, making her S tier pick even scarier. And especially when combined with First Strike and other runes that have recently been buffed, she's just insane right now. Tristana and Zeri do get small buffs, but nothing worth talking about. And we have the massive change of Ashe, Jinx, Kai'Sa, and Caitlyn all getting nerfed, with Caitlyn dropping all the way down to B tier and Kai'Sa dropping down to A tier. Jinx and Ashe do stay S tier, but will not be part of the top 3. And for housekeeping, I'm dropping down Zeri, Seraphine, and Swain, as they've just not been quite S tier picks recently. And looking at the top 3, Vayne keeps a spot, with Miss Fortune and Smolder joining her. And finally, not much to report with supports. Swain's buff doesn't make him any more viable, and the top 3 will of course stay the same.